What's up, guys? Welcome back to Worth the Wait. I am your host, Cookie Miller, and today we're talking about a topic that has been getting quite a lot of attention, at least on my Instagram. I made this meme. It's a whole thing. It has like over 1,000 shares. It is so funny. I think I put it out maybe a week and a half or maybe 2 weeks ago by the time you hear this. And even now, when I go back and watch it, I cannot stop laughing. So if you haven't seen it, go over to my Instagram at Cookie Miller and check it out. But we're talking about overnight weight gain. I know that so many of you have likely stepped on the scale at one point in time, and you're like, okay, I'm so excited to get on the scale this morning. Yesterday, I know that I met my water goal. I hit my step goal. I got my workout in. I cannot wait to see what the scale says. And then the scale is up. And you're like, hold on, because this does not feel like what we discussed. Like, this does not feel like what the outcome was supposed to be. So we're going to talk about overnight weight gain. We're going to talk about why the scale is up and whether or not you should even be paying attention to that. So let's go ahead and get into this week's episode. The first thing that you need to do, other than not panicking, is to understand what weight even is and what it means when you see your weight on the scale. So when we're thinking about what weight is, it is the totality of what is inside your body. So your organs, the water that you drank, the food that you may have eaten an hour ago. For example, all of these things contribute to your weight. Of course, your muscle, your fat, all of these things contribute to what your weight is on the scale. So if it is true that all of these different elements contribute to what we see put out as a number on the scale, then we need to understand how those different things that our body is comprised of actually creates or causes what we know as weight fluctuations, or seeing the weight go up and down. So weight fluctuations can happen because of things like water retention, food digestion, and then there's other temporary factors. So here's a test that I want you to do. I always have my clients do this test because I know people are so panicked by what the scale says in the morning. So what I want you to do is get on the scale first thing in the morning, nothing to eat, already after you use the restroom, and you are going to weigh yourself. And then I want you to get a bottle of water, let's say at least 16 ounces, maybe more. And I want you to drink that bottle of water and then get back on the scale. And then just report back and let me know. And maybe we'll talk about it in the next episode. But tell me what happened with your weight, right? And now that you know what happened with your weight, which is that it's likely has gone up, what other conclusion can you come to based on that? Based on the fact that you know that you at 8:05 a.m. you stepped on the scale, you weighed in, you know where that weight was. You drank water at 8:08 a.m. you stepped on the scale, and now the scale is up. What does that tell you? It tells you that the contents of your body have gotten heavier. What does it not tell you? That does not tell you, and it does not mean that you have gained body fat. It doesn't even mean that anything has changed necessarily about your body composition in the way that we mostly think of it, which is body fat and muscle mass, right? So it only tells you that the contents of your body weigh more. Let's talk about a few reasons why the scale may be up that have absolutely nothing to do with you having gained body fat overnight, okay? First thing is going to be if you had a heavy lifting day. Ladies, especially after leg day, we tend to lift a lot heavier on leg day than we do for our upper body days. So if you've had a day where you have lifted super, super heavy, and now the next day you're weighing in, that could reflect as an increase in weight on the scale. Because what happens is when you're working out, your muscles, you are bringing water into the muscles, and that water is being stored there. And you may not physically see it very much, but on the scale, it's going to reflect, or it may reflect as if you have a heavier weigh-in. So one thing that I always tell people is give it a day. Give it, and particularly give it a rest day. Rest doesn't mean that you're doing absolutely nothing. Rest just means that you are not going super hard, doing your normal, whatever your normal workout is, but maybe you're just focusing on getting your steps in for the day, or you're just doing something really light. So wait until after one of those days and you've had a good night of sleep, and then see where the scale is. Okay, keeping that in mind. We've talked about how the number on the scale is just a reflection of the weight of the contents of your body. So if you know that, then what you should know is that your meal timing is going to impact what number you see on the scale. And here's what I mean by that. If you are eating the same exact calories, let's say you're following a meal plan, or you're tracking your calories, or you're tracking your macronutrients, and you know that day to day you're pretty much eating the same thing, or you're eating intuitively, and you still know through that intuitive eating that you're pretty much eating the same thing every single day, right? Then what I want you to think about is, if you know that your weight should be trending downward, try not to get so in your head about what the number on the scale says, because it can be impacted by things like your meal timing. So if you are having the same thing every single day, but let's say one day you have a late meeting at work, you have some things going on, you don't get to the gym until 6 or 7 p.m. and you don't eat until 9 p.m., but you still wake up at your early time at 4 a.m., let's say, to get ready to go to work, and usually your last meal is at 6 p.m., this could reflect differently on the scale, because that food that you ingested may not have had enough time to fully break down. Okay, so always keep in mind that the timing of your meals could impact. So there's a couple ways that you could go about this. One way is that you make sure that you're giving yourself 8 to 12 hours between your last meal and the time that you weigh in. And whatever number it is that you choose for that, if it's 10 hours, then 10 hours is what you stick to. If it's 12 hours is what you stick to, if you particularly have a weigh-in scheduled for that day. Now, on other days where you're not weighing in, then maybe this doesn't make that big of a difference. But the idea is that you want to make sure that you're giving yourself the same amount of time in between meals every single time that you do your weigh-in, or else you could start to see either like a false low weigh-in or a false high weigh-in. Ladies, now the next one we should 100% know, but I don't know what it is. Like when I talk to my clients, it's so funny because on their check-ins, I literally ask, what day of your cycle are you on? You know, like, are you still actively bleeding? Like, what's up with you? Where are you at? So it's so funny when I'll see them going through their check-ins and they're like, oh, you know, like the scale is up and I'm so stressed out about this and I'm so emotional about this. And I always will go and I'll scroll right up to that exact question where it's like, what day of your cycle are you on? And it never fails. It's like day 24, day 26, right? Most people have a cycle somewhere between like 28, maybe up to about 32 days. So every time that I see the phase of their cycle that they're in, I'm like, oh, girl. And it's so funny because they're entering the number and still going on to fill out the check-in form completely panicked. So always keep in mind, ladies, if you're a lady who is still menstruating, you want to think about where you are in your cycle, because you could be just retaining a little bit of water and you may be freaking out for no reason at all. Eating out and being on a weight loss journey, it's like oil and water. We try to fit it in, and by we, I'm thinking about like all my fellow coaches out there, people who are in the industry, and I think about how we kind of try to like, oh yeah, you can eat out, make this selection, and yes, you in theory and in practice, you can, but it's just like with drinking alcohol on a weight loss journey. You have to keep in mind that the more that you do this and the more that you refuse to completely eliminate it while you're in a weight loss phase, the longer it's going to take you to get to your ultimate goal. And that's for a couple of reasons when we're thinking about eating out. One is just the inaccuracy. You don't know, what the corporate ingredient list that was submitted to MyFitnessPal versus what somebody who was just hired to be a cook in this restaurant, like what they're putting in it's just not all the same. Just think about when you go to Chipotle and you have one server versus another scooping your rice and scooping your veggies and scooping your protein. Some people, it's a heaping scoop. Some people are leveling it out. So things can vary in terms of calories greatly when we're thinking about someone else preparing your food, especially in a restaurant setting, because in restaurant settings, there tends to be a lot more use of oils and a lot more use of salt or sodium. So this leads to another reason why you may end up seeing a big jump on the scale is if you are used to making your meals at home, or maybe you do a meal prep service, and then you all of a sudden go to eat out and you don't necessarily eat anything too far off of what you normally eat, but more than likely that meal is probably going to be a lot more high sodium than your meal prep that you either purchase or that you make yourself. Now, of course, it just would not be worth the wait if we didn't talk about solutions or maybe some preventative things that you can do. And we are definitely going to talk about that. But before we do, I want to let you know that starting Monday, October 28th, we are doing a 4-week challenge, y'all. I am bringing back the Hormones and Holistic Weight Loss program, but this time we are doing it in the format of a 4-week challenge. It is going to be absolutely incredible. I sent this out. If you are not already on my broadcast channel on IG at Cookie Miller, definitely go and join. That was where I first sent out information. And then also I sent out information to the mailing list as well. So there are already spots that are selling. It happened so fast. I do not know how. But if you would like to be a part of that, make sure you go to the link in the show notes. You can also, if you're on IG or if you're on TikTok, you can check both of those platforms and check the link in the bio, and you will be able to sign up if there are still spots available. So if you haven't signed up yet, go over right now and check the link in my bio, see if there are still spots open. And if there are, make sure that you grab yourself a spot. In order for you to be successful at a weight loss journey long term and be able to keep your weight off, you need to be focused on long term trends and not daily fluctuations. It should mean nothing to you almost. If you are seeing your weight go up a pound, down a pound and a half, up to do not focus on that. You should be zooming out and looking at, okay, from the past 2 weeks or from the past month, am I down from where I was averaging last month? So I like to either look at a weekly average week to week or a monthly average month to month, but do not focus on the daily up and downs. Now, of course, there are some exceptions. Like, we got to be so serious, right? Like, if you went out and you was just going ham and you just ate a whole bunch of stuff, you ate a box of pizza, you ate a container of Oreos, like, sometimes we got to be realistic, right? So if you have increased your calories by like 3 or 4 times or something like that in a day, then yeah, like, you actually could potentially see a bit of fat gain, but even still, you're going to have a lot of what we talked about, like the water retention or, whatever. That could be a part of it too. But we got to be realistic in what we're talking about here. So I just want to make sure that you know that you could potentially put on some unwanted body fat if you're just in a serious binge. If you are someone who may be a bit closer to your goal and you're focusing on body recomp or recomposition, where you're trying to lose body fat, put on muscle, but you might stay close to the same weight or within about 20 pounds. So up to about 20 pounds, 15 or 20 pounds, we still would usually consider body recomposition. Okay, so if you're in that group, one thing that you need to take into account is that your weight likely is not going to shift down as fast if you do have weight to lose, or it may not change at all if you are just putting on muscle while you're losing fat. Why? Because muscle and fat, I know people like to say muscle weighs more. That is not true. Muscle and fat The weight is the same. It's not about that. It's about the volume and the space that it's taking up. Muscle takes up less space than fat. So when you can have 10 pounds of muscle on you and still look smaller or leaner than you did when you had that same 10 pounds of fat on you. So when you're thinking about body recomposition and you're burning body fat and then you're gaining muscle, it's the same weight, but you may look completely different, which takes me to my next point. Take pictures. You need to be taking pictures. Why aren't you taking pictures? I get it. I know why you're not taking pictures, but take the pictures. Unless you have a coach, you're not showing these to anybody, so don't worry about it. You want to wear something plain. I have my clients wear something black usually, just, cause uniformity or whatever. A top. It could be like some people are just so bold and ready to get into it that they'll put on a bikini. That's fine. But what my requirement is like some kind of athletic shorts or really like short shorts and a sports bra. And you want to take those pictures from the front, side, and back. My second requirement for clients is that they take pictures in something that they want to be able to wear in the next, let's say, month to 3 months. So a short-term goal, something that is maybe just one size too small, or maybe it fits, but it doesn't fit quite how it should. It's a little too tight. It can't be anything stretchy, anything elastic. It has to be something with buttons, something structured with a zipper, not with, too much give. And then what you'll do is you'll take your pictures in that. If the jeans won't come up over your butt, that's how you take your pictures, front, side, and back, just like that. And then every time you take pictures again, you pull those jeans up even more until, I had one client do this a while back, and she was doing it in like a dress that she was using for work and I think maybe church or something. And that dress got too big, so, and that's the goal, right? So you want a short-term goal, and then as you go, you'll have more. If you're someone who has like a recomposition goal, or you don't have too much weight to lose, like less than 30 pounds, let's say, then it's a little different, because likely once you get into whatever it is that you're attempting to wear in that first set of photos, you'll probably get there very quickly, and then you're done. You don't have to choose something else. So we talked about the body recomposition. We talked about making sure you're focusing on long-term trends. The next thing that I want to touch on is weigh-in protocol. I literally have a section in my welcome packet for my clients. Like, make sure that you are using the proper weigh-in protocol. Weighing in is not for you to do midday at the gym. Like, unless you're measuring your hydration before you go in the sauna or something, this is not a midday gym activity. I see so many ladies doing that, and especially they'll go and work out and come back, or go to the sauna and come back and weigh in. And I'm like, girl, but what? Did I do that? Absolutely. Are you kidding me? Everything that I talk about, I likely did. So, it's not shaming or anything in that way. It's more so like, I relate, I get it. So what you want your protocol to be is you weigh in first thing in the morning after you have used the restroom. Okay? And before you eat or drink. Those are the rules. You have to be consistent with the time that you weigh in, the clothing that you weigh in with or no clothing. And you have to make sure that the condition of your weigh-in is matching. So this is what we talked about earlier in terms of like the meal timing and all of that. Okay. Remember that any late night eating or undigested food can impact your morning weigh-ins. Now, unless you're in the body recomp group, but even if you're in the body recomp group too, this can apply to you. It just kind of depends because everyone is different. But the point is, take your measurements. Okay. If you have a larger weight loss goal, as you get closer to focusing mainly on like just tightening up or toning up, and you're not so focused on fat loss, you'll notice that the measurements, different measurement outcomes might start to make more sense when they go up versus down when you're in that phase. I'll explain what I mean. Okay. So first of all, you want to take measurements. Let's start with how you should be doing that. You want to wear the same bra every time you take measurements. Ladies, we know you got the bras that got the cups in them. You got a push-up bra. You got what do you call those little, like the little tank tops or whatever? That's not really a bra, whatever those are called. You have those bralettes, right? It changes a lot of things. It changes the position of your nipples. It changes a lot, okay? So wear the same bra. I don't care what bra you wear. Just try to wear the same one. Try not to wear like a minimizing bra or like a compression sports bra. But if you do wear that, it's fine. Just make sure that you're always wearing the same bra and that it's adjusted the same exact way. One way you can double check this is when you take your pictures, set up your phone, put it on video, and just actually take your pictures through a video. So what you would do is stand for a few seconds front, stand for a few seconds side, and then you can go in and you can screenshot the different times when you stopped, right? So anyway, when you're doing that, you'll also be able to have a chance to see where your bra straps were adjusted and which hook you had your bra on, and you can make sure that you do that every single time. First measurement should be around the nipple line. You need to make sure that it's not caught up in the cracks and crevices in the back. Okay, if you're carrying a bit of body fat on the back, you want to make sure, and this is another good reason for the camera. So you want to take that measuring tape around the nipples. Second measurement is going to be the waist measurement. You have two options. Does it really matter? No. Unless you are getting something tailored, it is not that serious, okay? I don't care which spot you pick. I just care that you pick a spot and you keep measuring in the same spot and that we're seeing that measurement go in the direction it needs to go. So you can either bend side to side, and that natural bend in your waist, you can measure there. That's usually the smallest part of your waist. Or you can measure right at the line of the belly button. For the waist measurement, you're going to measure around the widest part of the butt and hips. Widest part. Okay? And then you are going to repeat those measurements every so often. Of course, there's an option to measure everything. Measure your bicep, your thighs, all of these things. I more so take those measurements into account when somebody's doing body recomp and like they want to put more size on their legs. And so now we're measuring legs or, whatever. But it's totally up to you. So the point is, do not get so caught up in what the scale says. Do not let it determine your day. Take it as data and move on, especially if you know that you're doing all the things. Now, if you're not doing all the things, then that's probably a different conversation. But this is more so for those of you who get into such a good groove and then maybe you let the scale throw you off because you're like, this isn't even working. And then you back out. And right when you back out is probably when you are going to hit a low weigh-in. So, you never know. You never know. Anyway, I hope to see you guys at the 4-week Hormones and Holistic Weight Loss Challenge. The link is already down below in the notes. And make sure that you join the broadcast channel on my IG at Cookie Miller. Remember, if this episode or any of our episodes have helped you, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. You can also follow us on IG at Worth the Wait Podcast. Take a screenshot of the episode you're listening to if you find it valuable. Tag us in your post and we will definitely repost it. I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.